Mike, you there?
I'm here.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I had my phone. It was for you charging. Good to have you, Mike. Thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule to be with us tonight.
Yeah, it seems like everything happened at one time, huh?
It did. You know, you were with us Thursday night when the war broke out. But
Yep.
wow, we had the war going on. We had the assassination of these lawmakers in Minnesota. And still ain't caught the guy. We have an earthquake. It hit Lima, Peru tonight that's caused landslides. We know one person's dead, but I think it's going to be more. And, we haven't even caught the guy that did the assassination. We had the big parade in Washington. We had the 2,000 protest across America. Mike, what is going on?
Those protests are about to grow big time.
Oh, I was hoping it was going to fizzle out.
Bigger.
I was hoping it would fizzle.
It is just beginning. And most disturbingly, Turkey is backing Iran.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Matter of fact, I just got this tweet. The one of Iranian's top officials that are left, because most of them are dead, had just said, we want to form an Islamic army with Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan, and several other armies if they will join. So are you saying Turkey is going to join them?
Yeah, they're backing them right now. They're backing them up. They're not the only ones. Turkey has a sway over the Islamic kingdoms, period. And so we see that coalition forming that we discussed. So that's you got Turkey in there. You have Sudan and those places in Libya, certainly Yemen.
Yep.
All those armies
if Russia
will get together.
joins,
and I'll tell you something.
Yep.
Israel cannot defend against all of those people.
No,
and they know it.
They can't. No.
They cannot do it. They'll be overrun in a heartbeat. And so this is what we're seeing. So the chatter is high. Commitments are being made. And it seems like Iran, this has really bolstered a lot of Islamic motivations to attack Israel once and for all.
So, Mike, let's talk about this. You got Iran, who looks like they can get those ballistic missiles through. They can get some of them to get past the Iron Dome, the David Sling, the Patriot program, and even the THAAD. And so if you got Iran, if you add Turkey to the mix, they have nukes. And then you've already got, like you said, Sudan, Ethiopia, Yemen. If you add Russia in there, you've got Ezekiel 38.
Yep. Yeah, that's not only Ezekiel 38, but also Daniel 11.
Yep.
Same thing.
Yep.
So we're seeing it. It's like we're looking at it.
What is Trump at this point? He's trying his best to bring peace, and he's trying his best to stay out of this thing. But how do we stay out of this?
It depends on how it escalates.
Okay.
And that's what it depends on. If Israel can handle it, then good. He'll stay out of it. But if they begin to hit Western assets, it's over.
We'll come.
But I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
We will. But this is one of those moments. The world is going to see exactly who can do what, because not always technology cannot always save the day.
No.
Then technology is good.
Yeah, but there's more to
can always save the day. That's right. It can always save the day, and I do suspect that we're going to see some entanglements in the Middle East. We're going to see some escalations. People are already talking about defense of the East Coast, and our defenses on the West Coast today.
Are you
as far as missile defense
for us,
for the USA? That's right.
What's your thoughts on Turkey? Do you think, I know Erdogan hates Israel. I mean, I know he does. What's your thoughts? Do you think they will join forces and actually enter in and start fighting Israel? I mean, coming at it from another direction?
Well, let's put it this way. Turkey has had emergency calls for the last 2 days. Today, they were calling upon all of the Islamic forces to back Iran immediately.
Oh, no.
How about that? Yep.
Oh, no.
Today. So, yeah, they're really about to make a move. So this thing could be, we could be sitting at that hour where these decisions are made, where people are about to see some real biblical prophecies come to pass.
Do you think, Mike, that this could even work its way into World War III?
Yeah, I believe, you know what, when Israel, when they hit Iran,
Yeah.
to me, that is confirmation of World War III. Because once you hit Iran, because of their pride, because of the dynamics of that place now in the media, you're going to hear people say, well, Iran is changing their tune. People should be hearing this almost right away. And they're going to hear somebody's going to come out and say that. Well, from this point forward, there's nothing anybody can say to bring them to a table and keep them at a table. See, right now, Iran would lie. They would lie and do anything they could do to get close to Israel to take them out.
Right.
Right now. And you have the people. Israel is actively calling on the people of Iran to raise up against the regime. And you have those in the regime, and you have a lot of supporters of the Iranian regime, which is they are ready to go to war with Israel, right? They're ready to really fight them. And so Turkey is also involved in that.
Yeah, this is not good. This is not good. So,
No.
And then if Turkey does enter this thing, there's some smaller nations, Islamic nations, that will also join in. Which ones would you identify?
Yeah, well, if you have Turkey, remember Turkey also, that is, you're going to have Syrian-based elements that will join in, right?
Yeah.
Because here's the declaration. If Israel ever starts a war in the Middle East,
yeah,
it's important that all Islamic forces join hands to go against Israel. Now you're talking about a faith war. And so if this becomes, and it quickly is becoming a faith war, right?
Yeah.
There's no policy in the Western world that would work to solve anything that they're doing, because you're looking at Pakistan, right?
Yeah.
Joining forces. You're looking at most nuclear, some of these Middle Eastern nuclear forces joining hands, and they will, under Iran's direction, begin to attack certain people, and we are going to be target number one.
Yeah, which we know this. I mean, we've heard this.
That's why our defense nets are fully activated. Yeah.
Yeah, big Satan and little Satan, and but boy, I tell you, if Turkey joins them, and Pakistan certainly will too, then like you said, Syria and some others, will join, and this isn't a good thing, folks. How can the United States fight off all of these along with Israel? How in the world do we? I mean, there would be casualties. Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Well, let me give you a scenario. Right, without nuclear weapons, they could actually they have a selection of about 60 or so different types of weapons they could use to launch chemical munitions in the northern hemisphere, and that would tie us up for a long time. Right, so they can absolutely put a halt to everything. They can actually launch a chemical weapon at Israel. Maybe it hits 2,500 feet above Israel, taken out by Patriot Systems, THAAD, or some sort of ballistic intercept.
Yeah.
And it will still affect everybody in Israel. Once you start utilizing chemical weapons, everybody suffers. right?
Yeah.
So at that point, you have a massive degradation in the war machine. And I can almost guarantee you um, they're going to be used.
Do
I can
you
almost guarantee that
you
they're going to
th-
be used.
which one? Biological weapons?
Chemical, biological.
Yeah, chemical ones. Yeah.
Chemical, biological weapons are going to be, I can almost guarantee you, because you're looking at massive underground stockpiles of chemical, biological weapons in Iran, um, in Turkey, in Yemen, all throughout the Middle East, and certain underground cache nets. So it could really turn ugly real quick. And if that happens, there's no way we can enter in to a chemically held territory and start fighting normally. You can't do that. There are certain preparations you have to take, and it's going to depend largely upon the weather.
Now I know President Trump is going to Canada. I think he's already there for the G7. You got Germany's in there. You know, the UK, European Union. You
Yep.
know, Japan, Italy, what have you. But what's going to be what are they going to talk about? I mean, are they
They're
going?
already talking about the Middle East.
They got to.
Germany is a target right now. Europe is a target right now,
Yeah.
and they, depending on how the wind is blowing, right, that will make chemical weapons a go or no go. That's going to be based upon the weather. Either way, this could turn into something nasty real quick. I mean, very quickly.
You think Iran would drop drop chemical weapons on the Israeli people?
Yeah, if they get the backing, they sure would in a heartbeat. That according to their faith. See, if this turns into a faith war, here's what they believe. Just as we believe in Christ, a strong belief in Christ and the Ten Commandments and things like that, they believe that with their deity, they must have America on fire and Israel must be on fire to please their deities,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
They're not going to have when you're dealing with a faith war, that overcomes that empathetic, that empathetic notion that people may have that will stop them from going forward with certain deeds. But if a person believes that their God demands it, right, and that's how they're going to be compliant, they're going to have no problem doing that.
Mike. Okay, so this is, we're at a. I think about Revelation 9:11. I think about Apollyon coming out of the pit, and he unleashes 4 more demons out of the river Euphrates, and it really creates what it's called in the Bible the 6th trumpet war. I think it really creates World War III. It starts in the Middle East, but we've already got a war going on with Russia and Ukraine, so Europe is already in war. I mean, does the American people understand the danger that we're in as a country? The USA is also in. Do we understand it?
No, because America has a seat, a very dark chair is in America. No, they don't understand. Think about this. What makes America uphold some of the trash that they uphold all the time? If you really give it thought, America's responsible for upholding garbage, right?
Right.
And influencing garbage. Why? Why is that? Why is that still ongoing? Who in the world is permitting this massive immorality in this country? And these things are not by accident; they're by design.
So let me ask you. So we have a war going on in Europe, a war now definitely in Middle East, and we are in danger. And we got 2,000 different locations protesting against our current president. I mean,
it's growing.
America's in trouble. We got to unite. We got to unite, don't we?
It would be a beautiful thing if we could. I believe that rests upon the backs of believers. Pastor Paul, if you notice something, Satan he cannot get his final plan in place if he cannot break the backs of believers. Now, if you take notice, every single time Satan has an opportunity to divide believers. Right after he does that, he goes for the world
Yeah.
because we're the covering for the world.
You're right.
Right? That's why we're here. And
You're
if he
right.
can cause us to begin to exercise some of his minions, it's almost like a person rebuking a spirit. A person can say, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus all day, but if they entertain what that spirit is offering, right?
Right.
They're not rebuking. It's an instant nullification of anything coming out of the mouth.
You're right.
And so, in the body of Christ, if we're in the practice of division by way of our activities and things of that nature, there's no way we can rebuke division. And so, Satan can prosper division in this country.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
See? So that's what we're facing, and there's just too many who can't they can't see that. They can't see it. Like most things, Satan, he works in these small, tiny steps that seem so insignificant until they take hold. Before you know it, it's kind of like mold. You see a spot here, spot there, no big problem. I'll get it later. You forget about it because it's so insignificant. You come back 2 weeks later, and now you have to move out because mold is taken over.
Yep.
Right? That's how
Yep.
Satan operates, and he's doing the same thing with us. But if we were to combat division, and what I mean by that is not letting division work in ourselves, in our homes, among our members, we would be in a standing rebuke against division, and all forces of division that are in this country would have to vacate
Do we have
because
though to
we'd have a standing rebuke.
but
We'd
is
live that rebuke.
I agree with you 1,000%, Mike. But don't we also already have sleeper cells of division already here?
We do.
And those
We they
people don't care about anything about America. They are anti-Americans. Don't we have a lot of those already here?
Yeah, and here's how that works, just so people understand this. Sleeper cells are comprised of individuals. Many are born here in the USA.
Yeah.
They have been indoctrinated, right?
Radicalized. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they have been. It's not based on nationality either, but because you have many people here who are Americans, Caucasians, black, whatever you want to call them, but they're loyal to these different factions, and they've been taken care of. It's kind of like a gang. When the parents of a family do not love the child in these gang infested play areas, then you have these gangs that adopt your children, and they'll show compassion to your kids. All of a sudden, the kid is loyal to the gang.
Yeah.
Same thing happens with these sleeper cells, and so you have them living here. You're talking about kids from the age of 4 being indoctrinated into an organization from the age of 4.
Mm.
Who live in this nation. Many of them right now are up there in their 30s and 40s right now. And you're talking about, they had a count of 800 sleeper cells during the time prior to Obama. They had more after that. And in each cell, there had to be at least, each cell, right, had to be
Yep.
at least probably about six to 20,000, or I say six to maybe 10,000 members per
Okay.
sleeper cell.
Whoa.
They've lost count of those. When Donald Rumsfeld, when his issue of the money missing popped up,
Yep.
that's when they lost count of the sleeper cells, and they stopped hunting for them. They had accountability, but they took it into another facility. Nobody can talk about that anymore. But they're right here in this country. These folks can be activated at any given time. Any
Yeah.
given time.
Who are
They
they
are devout.
who are they answering to?
Well, they're devout to whoever leads that specific organization. They are devout to. They're devout to that. So they could be activated by foreign entities, foreign powers, any type foreign powers, even powers within this country. You'd be surprised how twisted the web is inside this country.
Oh, I know.
How would you like to find out that your favorite representative is in fact a a leader who sits on has a chair at a foreign table, right, in a foreign government.
Yeah.
That would be gut wrenching, but you have things like that happen. So if when they activate, because I believe they're on the move.
I
I
do
believe
too.
they set up something. They've been setting up something for the last 10 years. 10 years they've been perfecting something, and they're going to spring it. When they do spring it, uh, people are not ready for it because all they care about is entertainment and garbage and
Right.
things like that. They're
Right.
not vigilant enough. That's why if Christians, if we don't catch it, nobody else has protection from it.
Do you think, Mike? And we've had some government insiders have actually contacted me and Heidi and have warned us about a potential plague or whatever pandemic, whatever you want to call it, being
Yeah.
released.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
Well, that now, not to seem biased, but most of your doctors in this nation are foreign doctors, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Most of your folks that work in level 4 facilities, lots of foreigners work there, and all those foreigners are not devout to the USA. They openly bash the USA, and they work in high level positions, right? So
Yeah.
they have access to contagions. I mean, at any given time, you have people who go into level 4 facilities. They go in and out, and nobody has true accountability over them. There's also a lot of missing vials in this country. Those articles pop up like 20 vials went missing last year before that, 10 vials. Year before that, I believe it was 41, something to that count. And then nobody cares. After about 2 days, nobody cares. Nobody cares about the missing vials of contagions.
Nobody follows
And
up on it. The
that's
media
right.
doesn't
They
even
don't.
report on it. Right.
No. And so, but that doesn't mean that the vials have dissipated and gone
No.
away.
No.
So they have those, right? They have been planning something for the USA. It's been in coordination with Iran for a long time, right?
Oh, with
It's
Iran. Whoa, whoa, whoa,
it's been in
whoa.
coordination with Iran for a long time.
So you're saying Iran is involved? I'm sure other nations too. I think China, you got to say, are
Yeah.
involved with maybe these missing vials. Iran, would they
You'd be
use?
surprised how many times nefarious activities within this country go right back to Iran. You'd be surprised. You
Well,
would be shocked.
they're the one nation that has said death to America, death to Israel, or death to
Yes.
Israel, death to America. Little big Satan, little Satan. They're the one country that has been. They've not backed down from that. Other countries
Yeah.
join in the bandwagon and jump off. But
Absolutely.
Iran, you're right. Iran has never backed down from that position. They're
That's right.
They have a doctrine. They are Shiite Muslims. They're not Sunnis. They have a doctrine of an apocalypse has to happen, that Israel has to
That's right.
burn or get wiped out or something. Am I right?
Well, both of us, big and little Satan, have to be on fire, and they're going to make that happen. And their life's purpose is to make that happen.
This is
They
not
can't,
good.
in other words, they can't be effective against Israel until we are on fire. So I can almost guarantee you right now, they have people right now planning to compromise our nuclear facilities, planning to compromise various factories within the USA. Right now, I guarantee you they're trying this. I can guarantee that. And if we lose our vigilance for a few seconds, that's going to be enough. That's going to cost us quite a bit. And again, I'll bring it up. You know what I'm about to bring up, Pastor Paul?
What's that?
How in the world can it be written in the Bible that Jerusalem is trampled underfoot 40 and 2 months in Revelation if the USA is standing up and in power? Nobody can occupy Israel for 3.5 years with the USA in fully in charge.
No, you're
That
right.
just can't happen.
It can't happen.
So what happens to us that we cannot intervene for 3.5 years for Israel? That's my
Yeah.
that should
Well,
be
it's too.
everybody. That should be a deep
You
concern.
have been very consistent in bringing that up, and it's a very, very valid point, because we either have to be in a state of annihilation ourselves, or under the control of a cabal that will have taken over, a different regime that refuses to support Israel. And I'm just going to ask a question. Imagine if Kamala and Tim Walz were in the White House right now. Do you really think, with 2,000 protests going on everywhere, do you really think they'd be standing with Israel right now?
Well, it's a known fact. This is not biased, because I'm not biased, but it's a democratic ideology not to back Israel in war type affairs.
Yeah, there it is.
That's a democratic policy. It's a policy. It's an actual policy.
So Mike, so in other words, we could either be under fire, under assault, under a pandemic, under a nukes, or we could just be under the leadership of the other political party that really says we're not going to help Israel no matter what, and allows the rest of the world to go after. One or the other. Something happens for 42 months. You're right.
I'll tell you what, I have this strong notion that America is going to be so tied up within itself, right?
Yep.
Because if the powers in America are fractured, if we have a civil war, and I believe let's go ahead and face it, it looks like we're just, we keep inching towards that.
Yeah.
America's command structure is going to split up. This will effectively begin to, cause militaries and problems, because they won't know who to take orders from.
Yeah.
And I believe that's what ties us up, right? I've noticed too, historically, before any nation changes for good, it's almost all the way confronted with some type of civil war. Always. It's almost like the Lord will have a country. A part of it is always purged in such things before it can truly stand up to its full height. Because if you have, it's just like our bodies. If the left side of our body worked against the right side, we wouldn't go anywhere. Right? No. Our bodies have to be in perfect symmetry. In order for that to happen, though, you have to get rid of certain ideologies, and the only way that's going to ever happen is to wake the people up and bring the people forward again, because it never fails. The people start out with power. The people organize government. The people charge the government. The people put people in that government to govern things. But then the government takes over the people. Yeah, right. That's what every time this happens, a civil war of some sort of internal war starts, and then the people take back over again. They reconstruct everything, and the people start setting things up again. It's almost this cycle that never fails. Historically, the same thing happens over and over again, and it's always marked by men becoming women and women becoming men. It's the same thing historically over and over and over and over again, right before the fall of any nation, and then they get back together again, but they actually stand up in the end. I believe we're in the stages where our ideologies clash, where this clash is coming, and I believe we're going to be totally tied up. I can see it happening more and more. It's only a matter of some sneakiness before they begin to undermine the authorities of the President of the United States. I keep hearing echoes of that in hallways, that they're going to cut the power of the President of the United States. Yes. Well, who's going to cut the power? And we're not talking about through normal channels. No. We're talking about something. This is something that, I've only heard this in the last year and a half, that they're going to begin to cut the powers of the President of the United States.
Mike, well, I'll be honest with you. When I watched Joe Biden get shoved to the street, and I wasn't a Joe Biden fan at no.
But it shows you something.
But when I saw his party, shove him off the cliff.
Yep.
then I knew we had lost. What's happened was we have a government that has no respect for the office of the presidency. That was a dangerous thing to see. I know some people on the right said, well, that's great. He was this, he was that. No, it's not great. It's the office of the presidency. And no matter who's in it, you can't just shove them off the ticket. They shoved him into the race. They propped him up. They hit him. They thought they could just get another 4 years out of this, of the auto pin presidency. And when he was finally exposed, they just shoved this. They threw this guy away like, moldy bread. It was so fast. Yeah. And I said to myself, oh, my God, that means the presidency has lost its power.
Yeah.
No matter which one's in office.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And they can, that normally happens because of people. The people, they don't understand what they have built anymore.
Yeah.
The government, the people built the government. But now the government is ruling over the people. It was the government's never to rule over the people. The government is a representative and a voice of the people. Right. And it's totally, it's just absolutely, inverted upside down. And all this chaotic mess has come to a head. We're in that time we're in a birthing.
Yeah, we are.
A real birthing. And now we're starting to witness some of these long hidden things, but Pastor is just beginning.
Yeah, you're right.
Especially in the Middle East.
You're right.
It is just beginning. And how bad it's going to get, that cannot be gauged. I can't, because they know they're pulling out. The big boy weapons are coming out in a couple of days. They already know that. And countries are being pressured to take a side, even today.
Is Iran, with just Iran alone, they've gotten past, and I'm sure tonight, I got a link open right now, just watching, keeping an eye on what's going on. But is Iran got something else besides the ballistic missiles that they can pull out?
Absolutely.
I mean, I know
Iran. Absolutely. You got to remember this. Iran is Russia, and Russia is Iran.
Oh, there you go. Okay. I had a dream about that. I mean, I had a dream that Russia was pulling out these weapons, and when I saw in the dream was that there were American diplomats somewhere in an office, and when they saw that Russia was bringing out this new weapon, I looked at the young men and the men in the offices and the women, and the blood ran out of their face. They passed out. They slid down the wall. Their faces went pale with fear. And so I remember talking about that, and I even showed a suit that the Americans would wear, and you said that suit is already created. But whatever this weapon was, it was something that's never been used in warfare, but they pulled it out. When they saw that they had to win, they pulled it out. What could that be?
Well, a lot of people, all they know is what's been popular, nuclear.
Yeah,
right? I'll tell you something. There's something 7 stages above nuclear. Nuclear would be like a 22 caliber bullet compared to some of the modern day bullets that we have today. So nuclear has been around for a long time. They've gone past that a long time ago.
Yeah.
There are other weapons out there, right?
Yeah.
For example, there's a sound weapon that makes a nuclear weapon look like you're playing with a flower. Sound can melt all the soft tissues in your body.
That's not good.
That's what sound can do. Right. So, and sound there's no limitation on sound. There are also kinetic weapons that can do damage you wouldn't believe. Imagine if you knew of a bullet that could, now listen to this is a real bullet.
Okay.
A projectile that's a guided projectile about the size of a 5.56 millimeter. But imagine it can be guided, number one, and that whatever it hits, it'll go through that target and suck the rest of that target through the hole it just went through.
No, that's not good.
So imagine that. Imagine that. And you're dealing with things like that. There are projectiles that will not slow down until they hit something. There are those type projectiles. Mankind has really developed things at the edge of the physics. They understand, but see, you have laboratories. They understand something,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll tell everybody to their face that man only understands about 0.5% of physics. And so every time you hear these popular people saying what cannot happen, it just simply means those popular people have no idea.
Yeah.
In fact, one scientist told me, he said, in order for him to say, uh, because they had a conversation about the speed of light, they said the speed of light's impossible for humans because humans can only observe light. He said, but in order to stick with that, right, you would have to be very limited in your scope of understanding. He said, but there are things out there that have already gone far beyond that barrier. And
Yep.
so have we. That's what he said. He said we have too. Light, the speed of light is not a barrier. It's only a barrier to those who understand common physics, right? Just think of that. So they have things, Pastor Paul, that they shouldn't have made.
Yeah. Yeah.
Period. But you can't unmake them.
Nope.
Once it's out there, it's out there,
Well,
and we're going to
mankind
start seeing that. We're
mankind's
going to start
always
seeing
looking for that ability to get the advantage over the other one.
We're going to start seeing this stuff because
Yeah.
they have made quite a few things. And Iran is, again, I had to remind everybody they had the best scientists in the world in Iran for a number of years.
And Iran is Russia, and Russia
Iran.
is Iran.
Uh-huh.
Mike, real quick. I know you came real quick. We have this assassination situation in Minnesota. We can't
Right.
even catch the guy. It's feeling like that somebody was being sacrificed on behalf of this protesting, and the person who did the killing is now being protected. But am I on to anything here, or what's going on here?
Well, it kind of matches some of these things, these concerts that are going on.
Yeah.
Hey, sacrifices are real in America. They really are.
They are.
Sacrifices are real. And before every big event, there's always that somebody's always giving up their position that way. But yeah, I suspect we'll see more of those. So that's not going to stop. That'll continue.
Yeah.
That's going to continue. There is an objective to put fear in leaders, and they're not going to stop until they achieve it. We also have those interactions with with the Mexican drug lords, people call them, right?
Right.
But in fact, what we're dealing with is a one of just an armed, as an armed nation, armed set of nations through that title of drug lords that are after us, and they made their declaration, and they've been making good on certain promises.
We've gotten I agree with you 1,000%. The drug lords are really, it's really a terroristic nation that's now inside our nation. Are we going to see more assassinations of politicians?
Yes, we will. Yeah, we will. Yeah, I know it sounded weird. I said something. I'm not going to say it now, but I said something earlier this year, and I gave a count of four of them. But yeah, we will see more. We will. It'll become one of those things that it'll cause fear in other people, just like it did the time before with these attempts on people.
Yeah.
It'll cause fear, but I pray that I believe Trump is strong enough to go through it, no matter what.
Yeah.
But the people, the pastor, he's a man. He's doing one thing. The people are going to have to rise upon this.
And the church,
they're going to have to.
Main thing, the church.
Yeah, well, the church commands the spirits that are influencing people to do what they do.
Amen.
And if the church could put a halt to it, but they've got to unify.
Yeah, you're right.
You got to unify.
Amen. Mike, I appreciate you coming on a Sunday night, taking a little time out of your very busy schedule. And I know, but we're in a critical moment. We're in a critical time.
We are.
And I know we'll be talking again Thursday night, if not sooner. Who knows what could happen between now and then?
And we got a small window, Pastor. They're getting together now. So that we will see. Yeah.
We'll stay in touch. Thank you so much, Mike,
absolutely,
for being with us.
God bless you, Pastor Paul. It's always an honor. Always.
The honor's mine. Thank you so much, Mike. Appreciate it.
All right. God bless.
God bless.